Hi everyone, I'm
Hello.
Ryan Lang, also known as the Mind Player,
I'm Cassie.
And I'm Tim.
I'm Cameron.
and we are
Twilight Enigma.
Hey, today is our first video as we go through all of the classes for D&D. We want to go through each of these and discuss what is the class, why would you want to play it, and some ideas of like what exactly it does. This is less of a mechanics and rules driven breakup and more about story potential and who is this class for, why would you want to play it, what can you expect. Today is the Barbarian. We're just going through all of them in the book, and Tim has volunteered to take that one.
Yeah, for sure. And we are, just to make a note, we are talking about the 2024 edition
Yes.
of the Barbarian, so the latest current edition available to us of that. So first I just kind of wanted to talk about like what is a barbarian. When we say, like, if you're not familiar or if you're not as familiar with D&D and maybe you don't know exactly what a barbarian is, barbarians are primal warriors, primarily driven by rage, and they tap into an inner ferocity or a might that fuels their battle prowess. So that's kind of the theme of them.
I think that's new as well, where they say an inner ferocity.
Yes.
And it even says in the D&D manual, it's not always anger.
Yes,
Right?
and I do think we should talk about that later in some like art and
Yeah.
some role-playing options. But yeah, it doesn't always mean like the mad guy that hits stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways you can think about barbarian. Hopefully we can get your mind opened a little bit today with our descriptions. But
It could be the mad guy who hits.
That's
That's
fun
too.
That's
fun
fun
too.
That's fun to play too. That's a stereotype, and there's a reason those exist because they're fun and classic, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but these are typically the characters that charge in first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
Right? The hardy, durable adventurers that usually favor strength over intelligence. So that's who we're talking about today. As far as like their identity as a class in D&D, we will talk about some light mechanics here, but we won't get into like the heavy rules. The main thing that barbarians have at their disposal is rage. So that is a mechanic in the game that boosts your damage, gives you some resistances against common damage that you might be receiving. Another thing that's core to the barbarian, which is kind of interesting, is that their class is the only one in the core D&D rules that uses a D12 for its hit points. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, it just means that they generally have the highest hit point pool available.
They're hardy. They're harder to take down.
Yes,
Yeah.
and as I mentioned with the rage, they get a bit of resistance to damage, so that higher health pool can extend longer as well.
Yeah.
Because resistance means you're not taking as much damage.
They have no issues getting right up into the heat of battle.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
right from level 1 too.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The
Yeah, you
rage.
get that right away.
Yeah.
And then they also have unarmored defense, which just means that they've got, they're naturally tougher, a little more adept at avoiding taking damage or mitigating it without the use of armor.
I love classes with unarmored
It
defense.
is nice. It's something you
It's like
just
one of
don't
my
have to
favorite
worry
things.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't end up like the fighter in plate armor who's trying to stealth somewhere. And
That's right.
Just
On the same token, it does make it harder for you to get like a 22 AC or something.
Something the
Whereas
fighter's
like a
very
fighter
good
or a
at.
paladin can do that no problem.
Yep.
But
And
yeah,
if you have heavy armor, it actually kind of works against you
it can.
as a barbarian.
Yeah.
Like
Oh
it,
yeah,
it
yeah.
can
As a barbarian for sure. it does.
shorten the
But-
time that you can rage for, something like that.
Yeah, well, and that's to go with the theme of a barbarian, right? So the barbarian is meant to be a primal warrior, as
Yeah.
you were saying.
That's right.
And often they come from tribal backgrounds or backgrounds where they aren't as in society as they've been, and because of that, they're not going to the blacksmith shop to buy a suit of
To
armor.
get the
They-
armor.
That's
yeah.
right.
They
They
take on
found
bears
ways.
with their hands.
Yeah, they found ways to get around that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing I was thinking about with barbarians. They're big hitters, and they're like paradoxically smart about battle choices.
Yes.
So they have a lot of tools available from like an aggressive battle standpoint, but they probably are not necessarily going to be the best at like the more scholarly pursuit. You could try to build a barbarian like that if you wanted to, but generally that's not the way this class leans.
Yeah.
Best thing you could get is a headband of intellect.
There you
Then-
go.
Then you've got a smart barbarian.
Yeah. So I would say you might enjoy playing the barbarian if you like being the big muscle of the party. If you like high risk, high reward combat, there's a lot of trade-offs you have at your disposal during combat, which may make you more vulnerable, but will allow you to do more damage, which is kind of a fun mechanic. And if you want to feel physically unstoppable, this is probably one of the better classes for that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of the Hulk of the party.
Yeah, and at later levels, there's options for you to like not die when you go to 0 hit points and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is
That's fun.
pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
I feel
Yeah.
like the Barbarian is a very straightforward and simple class, very beginner friendly.
100%. Yeah, I would say the complexity level is quite low with the Barbarian, so it's a great starter character if you're looking to just do like a nice martial class where you're just hitting people with a weapon and not having to worry about spells. This would be a good one for that. Not a lot of rule stuff to get into.
It does have a few problems in that regard, in the sense that at higher level play, you can begin to be like, I'm the person who hits things, and that's all I do. Oh, my turn again, I hit it. My turn again, I hit it, right? When, for example, a wizard or a cleric is looking through their spells and thinking about all these different things throughout their turn, this martial class, there might be less decisions to make. So if you really want to be engaged in decision making and having your brain actively think about things, maybe not the class for you.
Yeah, but if that's overwhelming to you, like if you don't want to have to sit and look at a huge list of spells and like figure that out in between turns, then maybe the Barbarian is more for you.
It might be perfect, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But I'd say there's still a lot of interesting choices to make. Like they're, in the 2024 edition, they've added some new like choices and things that you can do, which I think are quite interesting. And some of the subclasses are actually quite cool, and I think we should talk about those.
Yeah.
And so I think we're kind of going to break these down individually.
Start with the Berserker?
Yeah, first one's the Berserker, Cassie.
Yeah, so the Berserker is the most straightforward subclass. It is like the classic Barbarian that you would think of. They hit like a truck, they're fearless, and they're terrifying. And that's pretty much it. At level 3, they get bonus damage to their reckless attacks while they're raging, which is like really epic. You can just, like level 3, you're hitting really hard already, which is amazing. Level 6, you get immunity to being charmed or frightened. Level 10, you can take a reaction to attack when you get attacked. So somebody hurts you and you can just be like, slash them back, which is, I love attacking out of turn.
Yeah,
it is
so nice. It is great.
And then level 14, an intimidating presence. So they just have a thing that they can do to just make everybody scared and run away, that can be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
that is the Berserker. They're very simple. They hit
hard, chuck a bunch of dice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
I really like the Wild Heart, the Path of the Wild Heart for a Barbarian. It's kind of like if you like druids, but also want to be a heavy hitter.
Yeah. Which is a great option.
So right from level 3, you can cast Beast Sense, where you can see through a beast's eyes, a willing beast's eyes, or speak with animals. You can also, when you're raging, channel a bear, eagle, or a wolf, and they have different benefits. So for the bear, you have resistance to pretty much everything except for force, necrotic, psychic, and radiant. And eagle, you can disengage and dash, so you can like swoop away like an eagle. And the wolf is while you're raging, your allies all have advantage on people that are near you. And then skipping up
lots
to
of choices you can make.
yeah,
That's nice.
skipping up to level 14, it adds more choices for when you're raging. The falcon, which you have this fly speed equal to your speed. The lion, which is when your rage is active, all of the enemies that are close to you within 5 feet have disadvantage on all of your allies. They don't have disadvantage on you personally or any other barbarians who are also a raging lion, but everyone else. So it's like really helpful for teammates. And then the ram as well, so you can cause a large or smaller creature to have the prone condition when you hit them, which I just think all of these are so cool because there's variety. There's also, I've never played the 5th edition version, but this is very, very similar to the totem.
Yeah, Totem Warrior.
Yeah. But from what I've heard, the Totem Warrior, you decide what your animal is,
Yes.
and you're stuck with it.
That's
That's
it.
right.
This one, every time you rage, you get to choose which animal
is
you want to
really nice.
channel. So
Yeah.
you have a lot of options as you go in this. There's also when you hit level 6, jumping backwards, there's other animals that you can channel. So you can channel an owl. This isn't necessarily in fight, but it's just helpful.
Like utility stuff.
Yeah, utility. You can channel an owl, so you have dark vision, 60 feet. You can channel a panther, so your climb speed equals your speed, or a salmon, so your swim speed equals your speed. So like
the
you're
beast
like,
barbarian
yeah, you're
mixed
really,
with the totem.
yeah, you're really like taking on the animals. You're like one with nature.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm getting very like some interesting like role play ideas here with kind of like spirit animal stuff.
Right.
So that's pretty
Which
neat.
I think was the totems.
Yeah. That's kind of how it
the
was.
purpose of the totem warrior,
Yeah.
from what I've read about it, is like they're your spirit animals, and at level 10 as well, you can cast another spell, commune with nature, so you can kind of ask nature where things are. Where's this enemy? Where's this settlement? Like,
Very cool.
That's
super
awesome.
cool. I should say all of the spells are ritual only.
Oh.
So,
Interesting.
it's not like spell slots. It's like
I like that actually. That's really thematic for a barbarian.
It is.
Ritual only.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a heavy
So-
thematic subclass.
Yeah.
For sure. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I think it's really fun because I like to lean towards the like nature and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thinking of nature, the next one's the Path of the World tree.
Yeah, Path of the World Tree. It's not quite as naturey as you might think.
Oh,
actually.
really?
But I'll get into that. Yeah, to me, this is like this barbarian isn't just like a damage dealer. There's a lot of battlefield control available with the World Tree class, which I think is cool. So the theme of this subclass, the World Tree, is that you now have a link to the cosmic tree Yggdrasil.
Okay.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
the Norse, mythology world tree, so you can connect to that through your rage, and you can draw upon the powers of the tree for vitality and dimensional travel. So there's some interesting abilities in here, but for me, my hot take on this subclass is that if you were trying to make Groot in D&D, I think this would be a hot contender for like a path you could take to build Groot.
I love when people do that too.
I know,
when
it
they
is
just
fun.
like, I'm this character basically.
You could do that. Yeah, you could do that. So they have 5 main abilities that you get with the subclass. I'll briefly go over them. The first one is Vitality Surge, which allows you to get some temporary HP for yourself. The other side of that ability is called Life-Giving Force, which allows you to give temporary HP to your allies. So you can dole out some temporary HP, and temporary HP is great for barbarians because that little pool of temporary HP can last longer as a barbarian because you have access to your resistances as part of a rage.
Yep.
So that's quite nice. The other one is called Branches of the Tree. So this is where you can start getting into some of the teleportation abilities. This one is really cool. I like it a lot. You can use a reaction to try and teleport a creature that you can see within 30 feet to a space within 5 feet of you. So you can grab somebody and bring them right in front of you.
That's epic.
They get a saving throw to try and get out of that, but if they fail it, they're next to you, and you can choose to reduce their speed to 0. So this is on a reaction. So at the start of their turn, you could say, zip, get over here, and you can't move now. That could save one of your allies' lives.
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, very
the
cool.
implications. That is powerful.
Yeah, it uses your reaction, so like you're done until your next turn there, but I think that's quite a useful thing. The other one, this is a more offensive ability. You get it at level 10. It's called Battering Roots. This is where the Groot image really comes in. You basically start to attack with like limbs of the world tree. So your reach is 10 feet greater with any weapon that has the heavy or versatile property. So if it's a normal 5-foot reach weapon, it now has a reach of 15 feet. And when you hit, you can activate either the push or topple weapon mastery on that. Even if you don't have access to those masteries, you can choose one of them and just do it. Those ones are great. Push is pretty self-explanatory. You can push an enemy, I think it's 10 feet. And then topple is you can potentially make somebody prone. They get a saving throw, but they could go prone. So great battlefield control there.
That's wild. I love it.
That one's cool. And again, the picture of Groot just like waving branches around and knocking people down and stuff. Yeah, very cool. Last one that you get is called Travel Along the Tree. This allows you to do some teleporting. So when you activate Rage or as a bonus action, you can teleport 60 feet away. And another thing you could do is once per Rage, you can increase the distance of the teleport to 150 feet and take 6 creatures within 10 feet with you. So that is a great escape strategy.
Yeah.
Really powerful one.
Just like, peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
be here
that's
anymore.
very interesting subclass. I think it gives you some great like battlefield control options, abilities to help your allies in different ways, teleporting enemies away from them, giving them temporary HP, or getting everyone out of there in one go. So very interesting.
I think I want to play one of these.
Yeah,
actually,
very
that's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the amount of Stranger Things I've watched recently, but I kind of like pictured Vecna as you're speaking.
Yeah,
his
I
like
can see that.
tree-like look
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
his like reach and grab and like.
Yep.
Yeah, I can
Oh
see that.
man, I can't talk about it. The spoilers are too.
Yeah, it's still too fresh.
Too
we don't want to wreck
fresh.
anything for
But
anybody.
there was a moment where it was like, I need to make a villain that can do that. Yeah. Okay. So
last one in the
last
book.
one.
Yeah.
This is the Path of the Zealot, or Zealot, however you want to say it. So essentially,
Zealot,
it's a
please.
barbarian who they work for a god or a pantheon of gods. And they're barbarian, but they have this religious backing with them, right? They kind of have a lot of paladin-like abilities, but they're still
makes sense.
very much a barbarian. So first thing is Divine Fury. You are able to do 1d6 plus half your barbarian level on attacks as extra damage, either divine or radiant, if you are in your rage.
Okay.
Super
Nice.
simple. Extra damage. It's not like the brutal attack on the Berserker where you might fail. It's just if you
It's just granted to
you
you.
just get it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
And you can choose necrotic or radiant, which is great because some things are weaker to other things, right? Then you get Warrior of the Gods as well, which is just extra d12. So you start off with 4 and they increase as you level up. And you can, as a, I think it's a bonus action. Yeah, as a bonus action, you just roll them to heal. Kind of like a second wind from a fighter. But it's a d12, which
That's
is really nice.
cool.
Yeah, healing ability for a barbarian. That's nice.
Yeah, hard to take down, extra damage. Also, they have what's called Fanatical Focus. Once per active rage, if you fail a saving throw, you can re-roll it, and you get your rage damage bonus added to the new roll. So you just re-roll it with better chances. Then you get Zealous Presence. I can't speak. And you can unleash a battle cry. Any of your allies within 60 feet now have advantage on attack rolls and saving throws till the start of your next turn.
That's great.
So you just rally everyone together under your battle cry, and they all just hammer on the bad guy till he's gone for a round. And the last one is called Rage of the Gods. When you activate your rage, you can assume the form of a divine warrior. Lasts for 1 minute, or if you get knocked out. But you can fly now. You have resistance to necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage.
Whoa.
Along with your bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. And when a creature, so one of your allies within 30 feet of you would drop to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to expend one of your rage bonuses, which at level 14 you've got plenty of them, to instead make that target's hit points be equal to your barbarian level. So you now literally are a barbarian who can make everyone around you attack better and be like, you're not dying this round.
You could
and you're not dying this
fly
round.
around and heal people.
Heal
That's
people,
wild.
and then smite with your divine fury and just bring the rage of the gods to everyone else.
That is an interesting
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, but it has this zeal to it. Path of the Zealot,
see what
right?
you did there,
Which is really cool. I don't think it's as what would you say? You can't do as much with it as, for example, the World Tree, right? But the ability to keep your allies from falling, fantastic.
That is a good one. Yeah.
So
It's not like the typical image that immediately comes to mind with the barbarian.
No, it's not. That
you think
changes
of-
it.
Interesting.
You think of barbarians as like more uncultured? That's the
barbaric.
stereotype. Yeah, but this guy is like, no,
He's like, I've got
am
culture.
I am here for a divine purpose, but perhaps they're just a little unhinged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you could play that into the role playing too, like you know, divine being could be a good one or a bad one. Like,
Yes.
there's lots of options there for who you might align yourself with.
I feel like a
Which could play
barbarian
into it.
would be really fun to be chaotic.
Oh,
Like,
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah,
They
yeah.
lean very well into a chaotic alignment. of
Yeah,
any
if you
sort.
want, if you want a
100%.
chaotic alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think we should maybe get into some more of the role play story stuff.
Yeah.
We got a little into the weeds there with the technical stuff, so
Yeah.
apologies there if that maybe went over your head if you're newer. But let's talk a little bit about the story stuff. You know, the barbarian lends itself well to things like we kind of talked about, like tribal rites or ancestral spirits, survival cultures.
Yep.
So if that's like a story you'd be interested in exploring or creating, like a barbarian could be a good option for you. Great opportunity to like build things into the world or discuss stuff with your DM about creating opportunities for those types of cultures to exist or those stories to be told. And we also talked about, like, a lot of people just think about rage as like anger, right? But
No.
it could be interesting to frame it as something far less simple, like you know, a curse, a blessing, some sort of ancestral voice.
A focus.
A focus, a cosmic tie, as we talked about Yggdrasil and your connection to that. You know, it might look different.
Channeling in energy.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be anger, but
No, it doesn't.
It's like locking in, right? People say that you're playing a video game. It's like lock in, like get focused, get in there. That's your rage.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna make a reference, but it's too much to explain it. I won't. I was gonna make a Demon Slayer reference. If anyone watches Demon Slayer, and I was thinking about Tanjiro. If you know, you know. We'll leave it at that because I don't want to nerd out about that right now.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But like maybe your rage looks, you know, less like a tantrum.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like a very focused rage.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you go like completely solemn and things go into slow motion for you or something, right? Like it can look different,
Yeah,
right?
that is how I kind of see the animal one. It's
Yeah.
not like, I'm crazy, but it's like, and like suddenly you like appear
Yeah.
to act like another
You're
animal.
channeling
You're-
something,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Whether that's, you know, pure anger or something else. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different opportunities to express that rage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of neat, something to think about. Another thing to think about, which might be fun with the barbarian, is like, how do you react with something like diplomacy? You know, that might not necessarily be what you think a barbarian is good at offhand, but like intimidation. You know, the subclass that was the berserker that could just like scare people.
Yeah.
You know, like that's an option for you. Maybe you've got an unexpected interest in something a little more academic, which could surprise people, which is fun. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a cool thing is like maybe you go to a more tribal place and maybe you are playing a more stereotypical tribal barbarian, right? Let's just say you are. And then you go to a more tribal place. Because you understand their culture, I think that's a time for you to play the barbarian as very diplomatic.
100%.
Right? You have a chance to be like, no, I understand these people. I understand their culture. I understand what is important to them. Let me take point. Right? You don't have to play as like, I hit things and I'm kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no. Perhaps you are naive to the more cultured sense, you know, cultured in quotation marks there, but you understand your background so well that nobody else does, right? And so,
Yeah, and I do think there's a lot more. Like one thing I like to think about a lot with D&D and like making characters is, and we talked about it in our character building video, but is like the story of like how your class has their abilities, and how those manifest, and those can play into your like emotional narrative. So with something like the barbarian, it could be fun to do something like, you know, the fear of losing control. You know, because like the rage could easily lend itself
Like
to
a
being
Hulk
that.
kind of.
Right, yeah, like a Hulk thing. Like you're on the edge, you're on the cusp. Like what if you one day lost control and used these abilities for the wrong purposes?
Yeah.
That could be a fear, that could be a real thing. Or maybe you have a intense belief about gaining power through struggle, and that's why you are on this quest. You know, it's a pretty brutalistic view, but it would lend itself well to a barbarian like I go do hard things because it makes me strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to the whole, you said Groot thing?
Yeah.
Not teenage Groot, but
No.
the original one from the first movie.
Yeah.
He was very docile and very calm. Like he was a
100%.
very, I don't want to say laid back, but there was a wisdom to him and a calmness that none of the other characters had, but he was the most barbarian-like
Yes.
of them all. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that rage could be like a very like righteous anger.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe it only comes out super obviously in like the right moments.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lots of options there and many that we haven't touched on, but hopefully that gives you some more information about the Barbarian. We talked about a lot today, but if you've been thinking about one or you don't know exactly what a Barbarian is, I hope you feel a little more up to speed on that and might consider playing one. I was just telling everybody before we did this that I think I may have officially decided that Barbarian might be my favorite like martial fighting class. There's a lot of fun to be had there.
They are really fun.
Yeah. So if you guys like Barbarians or are interested in trying one, like let us know in the comments. Like maybe you've had a favorite Barbarian moment or a favorite build you've done in the past. We'd love to hear about it. Maybe one of these subclasses stood out to you. We'd love to hear if you've got a favorite one of those. Or maybe one day you built a crazy Barbarian build that you think's overpowered. We'd love to hear about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Those are always fun
Any way
to
to get
hear
overpowered.
about.
You'll have to tell them sometime about Drakenheim. But we went really hard on magic items in that one. But if you've enjoyed this, please join us next time when we talk about the Bard.
The Bard.
Yes.
Excellent. Very excited.
Okay.
I like
Love
the bards.
Bards are great.
They're so fun.
Bards are so much fun.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you.
Bye, guys.